Hello and welcome to my greenhouse. Today we're going to be making pea soup, and these peas are Wavericks and they're growing for this year, and the ones we're going to be using today are Wavericks, but they're from last year. Now I've got a mint plant here and I'm going to harvest some of its leaves for our recipe in a little bit. This is a new plant, so I'm trying not to take too many, but enough for the amount of peas that I've got. So I'm trying to select stuff that's going to be okay to take, and I'll probably nip out some of the tops as well to encourage it to branch out. And now it's time to go inside and get those peas out of the freezer. So I stored them in the chest freezer. They're all bagged up. Let's move these spring onions out the way. A lot of the spring onions that I harvested this year I've chopped up and frozen because there was too many and I needed to get the potatoes in. So inside, all those lovely peas. They were blanched last year and frozen, and now we're ready to go. So I have got a general recipe that I'm working to. It's one that I made myself. So I'm actually going to weigh out the peas to see how many versions of that recipe we're going to need. So got the scales out, got a pan out, and it turns out we've got 3 times the amount of peas for my recipe. So looking in this pan thinking, I think there's not enough room for all the liquid and all the other ingredients that go in the pan, so I think it's a quick change required into a bigger pan. And as you might have noticed, I lost the audio from the original, so we're having to voice over. What you'll notice is that I'm timesing it up by 3, so the original recipe was 300 grams of peas, 250 ml of your choice of milk, 250 ml of water, half a large red onion, 6 mint leaves, a teaspoon of salt and a good pinch of pepper. So let's see what happens. So I've got my peas in the bigger pan now, and in a little while you'll see that it was a very good choice to actually get this into the bigger pan. It was necessary. So I'm just checking the recipe and mentally timesing up in my mind what I need. So into the measuring jug, I'm going to need 750 millilitres of soya milk here, but my jug only goes up to 500, so I'm going to have to do 2 pours of it. That's not much of a problem. So I get it poured over the frozen peas. Now this is where you can start to vary your own recipe to your own liking, and depending on how thick you want your soup, you can either put in less liquid to make it nice and thick, or you can put in a little more liquid to make it thinner. So I'm just measuring out that with the 250 ml there. And I think that's it. And in we go. So I'm going to measure out the water, just for convenience really, using it out the kettle. Don't have to set the camera up in 16 different positions. So we've got our first 500 ml going in there, not forgetting that I've times the recipe by 3. So here's the other 250. And in it goes. Now I've decided to use 2 onions because really I need 3 halves of large red onions. Well, I've just decided these are kind of medium onions and 2 of those will do. So again, Just vary the amount of onion depending on what you like. And being as I expect you will probably know how to chop an onion, we'll just speed this up magically so that it takes a lot less time than it actually did. So we can get those onions into the pot now. It doesn't really matter how chunky they are as long as our blender can cope with them once they're cooked. So in they go. Here goes the pinches of pepper. I quite like a good pinch of pepper, but obviously that's up to your own taste. And I'm doing a bit more of an experiment this time. Normally I put about a teaspoon of salt in one portion, but I'm trying to cut it back a little bit. So I'm just only going to put 2 teaspoons worth in a 3 times recipe this time, see what it's like. You'll notice that 4 are going in, that's just because it's a half teaspoon measure that I've got with the salt. So in that goes. Here goes the mint. I find the mint very important for the flavour. It just goes so well with the peas. And again, I'm cleaned it and I'm just going to rip it up and get it in because it'll be blended later, so it's not a problem. Okay, so now we need to heat it up and give it a good stir every now and again. We're basically bringing it up to the boil here. So it's going to take a little while to heat up because obviously our peas were frozen this time. If you've not got frozen peas, if they're fresh, it'll take a bit of a shorter time to come up to temperature. You can even see here that I'm having to break the peas up because they've frozen together with the soya milk. So this has been brought to the boil and then I've turned it off. Now let it cook just a little bit longer because I want to keep that vibrant green but still have the peas cooked. Once you're happy that your peas are done, it can take up to about 15 minutes, but obviously it all depends on the temperature and size of the hob and size of the pan, etc., how many you're doing. We need to get it all blended up. I'm not worried myself about it being totally smooth, but I do want it more of a pea soup than sort of soy milk with peas. So you can use a high-speed jug blender for this, but I couldn't be bothered to get mine out, to be honest. And I'm not too worried about it being not completely smooth. The bubbles that you see on the top of the soup will fade away with time. We've just introduced so much air at the moment, and you can see by the consistency that it'll actually be quite a nice pouring soup. Okay, so let's serve it up. And if you wish, you can put a little garnish of nutritional yeast. Not compulsory, but you can. So there we go. There's my beautiful lunch and sourdough roll that I baked earlier. Okay, so let's have a little taste test and see what it's like. Definitely taste all the ingredients. It didn't need any more salt. taste the mint, it's like in the background. I can taste the red onion coming through, but also I can taste the freshness of the peas. Can't say I bought that many pea soups, but they've always put me off by the sort of dark grey-green colour that they seem to have. Whereas this one, it's quite bright. Delicious. Well, I'm going to go and enjoy that for my lunch, so I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Bye!